This is the Ramana Maharshi Self-Knowledge Satsang, a time for self-reflection and self-inquiry. Know yourself and be always free and at peace. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke, hosting this satsang. I've been blessed with years of deep teaching. I bring this to you with this satsang. The background image today is Skanda Asrham. Ramana Maharshi lived here from 1915 to 1922. This is where his mother joined him and started preparing meals for the ashram rather than having prepared food carried up the hill, as had been the case since the earliest years. They have served visitors here at Ramanashram every day since. In 1922, his mother's health was failing. When offered a more comfortable place to stay, she said, "I want to die only in your arms. After my death, you may even throw away my body into some thorn bushes. It doesn't matter." Soon after this incident, Bhagavan's mother fell seriously ill. On the day of her passing away, from early in the morning, Bhagavan sat next to her with his left hand on her head and his right hand on the right side of her chest. He remained like that for nearly 8 hours. As long as she was conscious, Bhagavan gave her spiritual instruction. When she lost consciousness, Ganapati Muni and others started Vedic chants. After the violent gasps called Urdhava Swaza in Tamil began, Bhagavan placed his right hand on her heaving heart and the left one on her head. He looked at her intently. The day passed that way. Subsequently, Bhagavan himself narrated what had happened. These are his words. The latent tendencies and thoughts, which are the cause of future births, flared up. She had just then lost consciousness of the external world. Hence, in the subtle world, her subtle body was witnessing scene after scene of what was to happen. By this sequence of experiences, this soul went through the future births and traveled towards the highest. The end came peacefully by 8 in the night. Among those present, Ganapati and Nirajananda Swami heard a sound indicative of the mother's death. Ramana asked that they bury mother's body and treat her as a self-realized saint. They found a site at the bottom of the hill and constructed her samadhi there. They couldn't do it on the hill itself since it was sacred and not to be defiled by a dead body. Soon after, Ramana moved down the hill and started staying near Mother Samadhi. This became the site of Ramana Ashram. Now, here are some photos, most of them taken by Carol and I in 2008. To get to Skanda Asrham, you leave from Ramana Ashram, and here Carol is heading up the path to Skanda Asrham. First, you climb over some steps, then out the back gate. You start up the hill, and after a bit, there's a path off to the left. This path is the start of the inner path, and there's another branch that goes up the hill. We go up the hill, many steps. In a bit, there's a place to sit and catch your breath. Then up the hill some more. There are places where you can look down and see the big temple, Arunachaleshwara temple. Then a bit further to the gate. It's locked. We're here before the Swami, who is the caretaker for Skanda Asrham. He's come and is unlocking the gate, and we follow him into Skanda Asrham. Here is Skanda Asrham. He unlocks it, and we go in. There is an inner chamber, the original cave. This is where Ramana slept, and where the Swami each morning sings a wonderful chant. After he finishes, most people leave, but Carol and I stay and meditate. Some of my best meditations were in this spot after the chanting. Let's listen to a sample. Oop.
वन्दे श्रीरमणश्रीराचार्यस्य पदाब्जम् यो मे दर्शयदीशं हान्तं त्वान्दमदीत्य यस्ताणोररुणाचलस्य पदयो स्मृत्वा जनी प्राप्यते दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रभागरुगशं तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनस्यगरा तस्मै लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे
To the left end of Skanda Asrham, there is a small room. It's where Mother stayed, and this is where Ramana was with her and gave her the special support as she died. Now, here are some old photos. This first is an old photo of Skanda Asrham. It was taken from the path up from Virupaksha cave. This was the usual path in the early days. Carol and I did not use this route much because it was mostly up pretty steep stairs. Here is young Ramana at Skanda Asrham with a dog. Here is Ramana with his mother and a picture of mother. This was certainly in the years while she was living at Skanda Asrham. Now, on to this week's reading from Who Am I? We're at paragraph 35 now. Ramana's words. All scriptures, without any exception, proclaim that for attaining salvation, the mind should be subdued. And once one knows that control of the mind is their final aim, it's futile to make an interminable study of them. What is required for such control is actual inquiry into oneself by self-interrogation. Who am I? How can this inquiry and quest for the self be made merely by a means of study of the scripture? Realization does not come from any book or from any understanding of the mind. Rather, it comes from the seeker's own inquiry into the self and discovery that this self is your own self. Realization comes from and consists of this self-knowledge. Self-knowledge comes from the seeker's own effort, from the seeker's spiritual experiences that lead to self-knowledge. Control of the mind is not stopping thought. It is really the deep knowledge that the mind does not really exist. The mind has no lasting existence. It just comes and goes, and what is real is consciousness, which lights up the mind, and which is the self, and consciousness is always there. This experience is not in any book or any thought or set of thoughts. The experience is real, though. It is real, like your own deep knowledge that you exist. Advaita Vedanta is not about faith like most other religions, nor a matter of high spiritual experience like many Eastern religions. Rather, it is about your own direct, immediate experience right now. If you do not experience yourself now as the highest, Advaita says that this is only due to lack of knowledge, not intellectual knowledge, but the experiential knowledge of your own existence. Thus, self-inquiry is the recommendation of Advaita Vedanta as a way to find this knowledge. for yourself. Now, on to our videos for the week. First is Swami Sarvapriyananda, and he has an excerpt from a longer talk on Atma Vichara, that is self-inquiry.
Not the body, not the mind. Why? Notice that the body changes continuously. It's a fact. Babyhood, childhood, teenage, youth, middle age, old age, how much this body has changed. Hardly recognizable. We ourselves, if we were not told, group photo 40 years ago, and we might not even recognize ourselves and the body there in that photograph. And yet we have the sense that I was that baby, I was the child, I was the teenager, I was that young person, middle-aged person. Now I am here, this old person. That which is changing continuously, and this sense of unchanging identity throughout. The changing and the unchanging cannot be the same thing. In Vedanta, this is called savikara nirvikara. That which is savikara, with change, with modification, and that which is nirvikara, the sense of personal identity, this awareness of the changing body. That awareness has not changed. The two cannot be the same. Between the changing and the unchanging, there can be no relationship. One sadhu said, नित्य और अनित्य में कोई संबंध नहीं होता है. अगर लगता है तो वो भ्रम है. Very, very important precept, if you think about it, very deep and stunning. Between the eternal and the non-eternal, there can be no relationship. And yet, if you find a relationship, that's an error, Brahma. How devastating it is. Non-eternal, father, mother, they come and go. They are there, and one day they grow old and die. Husband, wife, children, colleagues, friends, community, they come and go, non-eternal. And says, yeah, I know that. But what we don't know is, if they are non-eternal, you, the eternal self, you actually have no relation with them. We think we are so closely attached. My dearest and nearest, husband, wife, children. If there was a time when they were not there, know it for sure, there will be a time when they will not be there. And even deeper, if that is so, that there was a time they were not there in your life, and there will be a time when they will not be there in your life, in that case, even now when they are there, you have no relation with them. Now, I'm not being cruel. I'm not saying you should abandon your children and divorce your spouse. No. This is in a deep philosophical sense. Actually, in a most profound sense, you are not connected to them. You are not tied to them. If you are tied to something, when it goes, it will pull you along with it. If you are tied to something, when it moves, it will pull you along with it. If you're tied to a person, I'm so much attached. When that person goes away, you should also go along with it. You'll be pulled around. It does not happen. People come and go and disappear in our lives. We don't come with them. We don't go with them. In that case, when they are there also, there's no deep connection, attachment with them. It just seems like that. Brahm hai. Nothing wrong with it. As long as you know it seems like that, you'll be free of that. You'll be free of that attachment. And you can do all your family, professional work can go on. There's no problem at all. But you will enjoy the benefit of freedom in the midst of all of this. Between the eternal and non-eternal, there can be no relationship. Between the changing and the unchanging, there can be no relationship. You, the unchanging awareness, and the continuously changing body, you have no relation. You are not only not one with the body, you are not the body. It is not even connected to you. It is not even connected to you. Same goes for the mind. The mind changes so much. From morning till now, just now. How many times happy? How many times miserable? How many times alert? How many times bored? How many times sleepy? After a cup of coffee, how awake and alert? How many times curious, angry, irritated, happy, pleased? How much the mind is changing within these few hours after waking up from last night's sleep. throughout the life. Imagine how fast and how much the mind changes. But you are the same one who saw the happy mind, who saw the miserable mind, who saw the bored mind, who saw the curious and interested mind, who sees the fresh and alert mind, who sees the dull mind. If you see all of these things, then you are not the mind. If you have seen all of them, then all these things have come and gone. You are the seer of the mind. You are unchanging, nirvikara, and the mind is changing, savikara. Between the nirvikara and savikara, between nitya and anitya, there can be no relationship. It seems to be my mind, the closest thing in the world, the closest thing in the universe is my mind. I think I am the mind. No, not only are you not the mind, you have no relation with the mind also. Well, what a tremendous statement. And if you think that way, you will first of all feel a great relief. And where will the relief be? Not in the consciousness. Relief will be in the mind. Mind itself will be very happy to get rid of you. All the trouble the mind undergoes is because we embrace the mind as ourselves. So the mind itself is not me, not even related to me. I am aware of it, no doubt of it. Because I am nirvikara, mind is savikara. Someone might say, so what nirvikara what? I am the awareness which is aware of the mind. Through the mind, I'm aware of the body. Through the body mind, I'm aware of the world. But world is continuously changing, no doubt about it. Body is continuously changing, no doubt about it. Mind is also continuously changing, no doubt about it. Because they are changing and I'm aware of the changes, in that case, I have no connection with them. I am just the witness of these changes. If I'm witness, if I'm awareness, my very nature must be consciousness. The self is not blood and flesh and bones and cells and organs. The self is not thoughts, feelings, memories, desires, this bundle which we call the personality. Self is not that. It's the witness of all of that. It functions through it. No more than you are your shirt or your undershirt. In the same way, you are not the physical body, nor the subtle body, the mind. They are there, but they are not you. Why? Savikara, nirvikara. Not only are you not that, you are completely unattached to all of these, even when they are existing. Asangavayam atma. You have no sangha, no attachment to them. Why not no attachment? As I said, if you were attached to this, a changing thing, when it changes, if you are attached to it, you will change along with it. But if you have not changed, if you are the same witness which you were in your childhood, watching the child's body and the child's mind, teenage body, teenage mind, middle-aged body, middle-aged mind, and old-age body and old, tired mind, need not be old and tired mind. Some people have old body but young mind. Some people have opposite, young body and old mind. But in either case, you are not it. You are the unattached witness. Again, in another way, let us look at it this way. Two more other ways we'll see this self-inquiry. These are called prakriyas, methods. One method is changing, unchanging. We just did that. Another one, my favorite is drigdrishya, is experiencer and experience, seer and seen. What you see is apart from the seer. Eyes are seeing all this, laptop, all these faces, all these things in the room, but they are all different from the eyes, physically different. They are objects out there and the eyes are here. They're two different things. You say, so what? That's obvious, but so what? In the same way, the mind which knows the eyes is different from the eyes and other sense organs. And you, the consciousness, the awareness, you are aware of the mind and the sensory system, including the eyes and the world. So if you are aware of them, they are different from you. They are not the self. This object, the world outside, this piece of paper, I know I am not that piece of paper. That's a thing. But I am this person. But even this person, I can use the word this. I can use the word it, this body, these eyes. Even as you go further inside, this thought, these thoughts. If you can say this, it, then it's not you. Look at your experience right now. Whatever, right now, it's a very powerful method. Right now, whatever you can label as this, then it's not you. This laptop, not me, clearly. But this body, I can say this body, can I not? I can see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it. It's an object of all my senses, this body. Then it's an it, an object, a thing. It's not me. I am the one who is aware of it. Then the thoughts in the mind, which I intimately own that I am those thoughts. Am I really the thoughts? When the thoughts are not there, am I not there? I'm still there. When new thoughts came, did I become new? No. When memories faded away, did I fade away? No. Am I able to objectify the thoughts? Can I say this thought? Right? This thought is bothering me. This, in that case, I am not the thought. Even bothering me, that also I am not. You see, the question is asked here. No, this will not work. You see, you said you are not this piece of paper. Correct, I agree. I am not this piece of paper. But then in the same logic, you are saying this body, you are not this body, but that will not work. If you hit the piece of paper, if you cut the piece of paper, if you burn the piece of paper, nothing happens to me. But if you hit this body, cut it or burn it, I will feel so much pain. So, you have to be very logical. In the path of self-inquiry, one thing is you have to be very rational, very slow and careful. What is the argument? If you do something to if you try to damage the piece of paper, I am not affected. So I understand, I am not the piece of paper. But if you cut this body and burn it, I am affected. Terrible suffering is there. So I am this body. No, it does not follow. If you hit this body, pierce this body, there is pain. Next step, are you aware of the pain? Yes. Then can you say, this pain? Can you say, it is hurting, it's an object of awareness? Yes. Then the pain is also an object. You must follow this carefully. The pain in the body is also an object. It is not you. If you can categorize something as this thing, then it's not you. Just as this paper is not you, this body is not you, the pain in the body is also not you. It's equally an object. It's a more subtle thing. It's a feeling, but it's still an object because it is presented to your consciousness. The pain in the body is presented to your consciousness, just as the body itself is presented to your consciousness, just as this piece of paper also is presented to your consciousness. Paper, body, pain, equally object, not you. You are free of it. They come and go. You don't come and go with them. Drik drishya. Even you are the drik, the seer, and whatever you experience is drishya, seen. Thoughts in the mind, no matter how horrible, how depressing, how miserable, not you. My mind is dull, Maharaj, I can't meditate. When I try to meditate, I feel sleepy. All right, what does Vedanta say? Alert and peaceful mind. Not you, you are aware of it. Are you aware of the sleepy mind, the unmeditative mind? Yes, I'm aware. That's why I'm complaining. If you are aware of it, that one which is aware of the unmeditative sleepy mind, is that sleepy or unmeditative? No. That is shining always as it is. That is not affected. See, mind is sleepy. And if you're aware of the sleepy mind, later on you can report. During the sleepiness, you cannot report because mind is sleepy. But afterwards, you will see, yeah, I noticed the sleepiness. That which noticed the sleepiness of the mind, that which noticed the depression of the mind, that which noticed the restlessness of the mind, that one is not depressed. That one is not sleepy. That one is not restless. That one is consciousness. It is free of all the problems of mind. Drashta, the seer is not touched by the seen. It is untouched. Asanga, again, just as savikara, nirvikara, unchanging and changing, the unchanging is unattached completely with the changing. Similarly, the seer is completely unattached with the seen. And the seen includes body and mind also. Body and mind are not the self. One more, and then we'll be done. This is called Chit Jada. You, the awareness, the entire world, including body and mind, are presented to us the awareness. I am aware, in my awareness comes this world. In my awareness comes this body also, however it is. in my awareness comes this mind also. But I do not become an object of the body or the mind. Who is aware of whom? Are you aware of the body or is the body aware of you? I do this experiment sometimes that look at this hand. When I look at this hand, what is my feeling? Am I aware of the hand or is the hand aware of me? I'm aware of the hand. Yeah, it is the hand. You say, so what? Same way I'm aware of this hand. Same way I'm aware of every part of the body, wherever I choose to focus my awareness. And none of these parts of the body are aware of me. Think about it. You see, what is this so great? One doctor in Scotland wrote to me suddenly, great realization. He said, I was looking at a scan image of the body. And he said, I've been looking at these for years and years, of thousands of such pictures of the body. And I just now I realized, in all these pictures, detailed pictures of the body, where am I? These are things, complicated, sophisticated, organic structures. But where am I? I, the conscious being, who is examining all these things. Where am I in this body? Am I in one place in the body? Nowhere. Am I the totality of the body? No. Where am I? It's an object. Similarly, even thoughts, take it one step deeper. Even the thoughts, are you aware of the thoughts or are the thoughts aware of you? You, the awareness, shine upon the thoughts and reveal them. The thoughts do not reveal you. Simple experiment. Just now we perform. If I think a thought, like the funny thing is, you ask mind, please think a thought. Swami is asking me to perform an experiment. The mind, which is always thinking thoughts when it's not required, when you ask the mind, think a thought, Maharaj, my mind is blank now. Think a thought. I always say A, B, C, D, or 2 plus 2, 4. Some thought, 2 plus 2, 4. When you now be aware of that thought, 2 plus 2, 4. Am I aware of 2 plus 2, 4? Or is 2 plus 2, 4 aware of me? So what a ridiculous suggestion. Very clearly, I am aware of a thought 2 plus 2, 4. It has no capacity of being aware of me. It's just a thought in the mind. Similarly, the mind is not aware of you. Mind which is composed of such thoughts, feelings, perceptions. Mind is not aware of you. You are aware of the mind. You are awareness and everything else, from the physical thing like a rock or a stone, to the body, to even the subtle things like the mind, thoughts, feelings, perceptions, they are all classified as insentient, jada in Sanskrit. And you are classified as chit, consciousness. Between the chit and the jada, between consciousness and the object, the insentient, there can be no connection. Appears to be connection, no connection. The light shines on everything. This light shines on everything in this room, but it is not connected to anything in the room. When the light shines on this piece of paper, it is illumined. Piece of paper is illumined, but the light does not stick to this piece of paper. When I remove the piece of paper, the light is still there. The paper does not carry the light away by itself. Similarly, when you shine upon the world, including body, including mind, no matter how disturbing the thought, you are not connected to it in any way. They are like little pieces of dust, little bits of dust floating in a ray of sunlight. Early in the morning, we see, when the ray of sunlight comes into the room, you'll see lots of tiny pieces of dust, little bits of dust floating in it. All thoughts, emotions, perceptions are like those pieces of dust floating in you, the ray of consciousness, in your radiance. Between chit and jada, consciousness and non-consciousness, sentience and insentience, there can be no connection. Between drik and drishya, seer and seen, there can be no connection. Between savikara and nirvikara, unchanging and the changing, there can be no connection. You, the seer, the self, you are the seer, you are the unchanging, you are awareness. And what you see, what you experience is the ever-changing, the seen, the experienced object and insentient. This unchanging radiance, revealing everything in your life, this is the nature of the self. This is what we are. This is what is meant when you say, Aham Brahmasmi. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. I am of the nature of awareness and bliss. That is Shiva. That is Shiva. Okay. One more, and just say it, I will not prove it here. One question remains. All right, so I am the witness, the awareness, the unchanging consciousness, and everything else in the world, including body and mind, are changing. So are they two different realms? Consciousness, not consciousness, changing, unchanging, seer, seen. So you have made a division. It is not Advaita, it's not non-duality, it's still duality. Still vast differences remain. Earlier the difference was inside the skin, I am. Outside the skin, everything else, separate from me. But now I'm saying even this body and mind are also put as else, as the other. What is the relationship between consciousness and matter? What is the relationship between self and other? According to Advaita Vedanta, is a bombshell. That what we regard as matter is actually nothing other than a projection within consciousness. There is no separate realm of matter. What we just separated, the changing, insentient object, universe, that is all an appearance in consciousness, according to Advaita Vedanta. It is nothing but consciousness. Vivekananda puts it this way. First, it appears to you. Then you look deeper. It's actually appearing within you. This world is within you. So that sounds cool. Object, put an objection. In Uttarakhand, Haridwar, one sadhu said, when this was being said, that this whole thing is inside you. Sab aap mein hai, aap sarvavyapi hai. You are all pervading. You are all pervading consciousness. This monk protested from the back of the hall. Question, I am here and you are there. I am here, I am not there. How can I be all pervading? I cannot even pervade one room. I'm in only one chair. Even the fattest person cannot pervade this room, and let alone pervading the whole universe. In Hindi, he said, मैं यहाँ हूँ और वहाँ नहीं हूँ, तो कैसे सर्वव्यापी हुआ? I am here and not there. How can I be all pervading? The immediate answer came from the teacher. और ये यहाँ और वहाँ दोनों क्या आप में नहीं है? Even this idea of here and there, are they not both within your awareness? Where else are you experiencing space and time, here and there? All within awareness only.
Now we have Rupert Spira, and he's going to be reading excerpts from Know Thyself by the Sufi mystic Balyani.
Praise belongs to God, before whose oneness there is no before, unless the before is He. And after whose singleness there is no after, unless the after is He. He is, and there is not with Him any before or after, above or below, closeness or distance, how or where or when, time, moment or duration, manifest existence or place. And He is now as He has always been. He is one without oneness and single without singleness. He is not composed of name and named, that's name and form in the Vedantic tradition. He is not composed of name and named, for His name and His named is Him, and there is no name or named other than Him. He is the first without firstness, and the last without lastness. He is the apparent without appearance, and the hidden without hiddenness. I mean that He is the very existence of the letters of the names of the first and the last, the apparent and the hidden. There is no first or last, apparent or hidden, except Him. Understand this so as not to make the mistake of people who believe in incarnation. He is not in anything, and no thing is in Him, whether entering into Him or coming out of Him. It is in this way that you should know Him, and not through theoretical knowledge, reason, understanding, conjecture, nor with the senses, the external eye or interior sight or perception. No one sees him except himself. No one reaches him except himself. And no one knows him except himself. He knows himself through himself, and he sees himself by means of himself alone. No one but he sees him. His veil is his oneness, since nothing veils him other than him. His own being veils him. His being is concealed by his oneness, without any condition. No one other than he sees him. No sent prophet, perfect saint or angel or non-dual teacher brought close knows him. His prophet is he. His messenger is he. His message is he. His word is he. He sent himself from himself to himself. He sent himself from himself, through himself, to his self. There is no intermediary or means other than him. There is no difference between the sender, that which is sent, and the one to whom it is sent. The very existence of the prophetic message or the non-dual teaching is his existence. There is no other existence to anyone or anything who could pass away or have a name or a form. Because of this, the prophet, God bless him and give him peace, said, "Whosoever knows their self knows their Lord." He also said, "I knew my Lord through my Lord." What the prophet pointed out by that is that you are not you, but you are him, and there is no you. It is not that he enters into you, or that you enter into him, or that he comes out of you, or that you come in out of him. That does not mean that you have being or you are qualified by this or that attribute. What is meant is that you never were and never will be, whether through yourself or through him or in him or with him. You have neither ceased to be nor are you existent. You have neither ceased to be nor are you existent. You are him and he is you, without any of these imperfections. If you know your existence in this way, then you know God. And if not, then not. I've just opened it at random. Whosoever sees anything with God, whether coming out of him or within him, but dependent on him by virtue of his lordship, has made that thing an associate or an equal of God, even though that associate depends on him by virtue of his lordship. Whoever allows that there could be anything with God, anything other than God, such as a servant, whether subsisting by itself or through him, whether in a state of having passed away or the passing away of passing away, is far from breathing the scent of self-knowledge. Because whoever accepts that there could be any being other than him, yet subsisting through him and in him, then passing away in successive stages of passing away, and the passing away of passing away, which is polytheism upon polytheism. That is the admittance of numerous selves or being. Whosoever accepts that there could be anything or anyone other than him is a polytheist, one who believes in many gods or many beings. And that one does not know either God or themselves. And then Balayani is asked a question. What is the way to the knowledge of the self and the knowledge of God? That is, the knowledge of the servant and the knowledge of God. And Balayani replies, it consists in being aware that God is, and nothing is with him, and he is now as he has always been. then it goes on, I see myself as other than God, and I do not see God as myself. And Balayani answers, the prophet meant by the word self, your being and your essential reality. Not the self which is called the blaming self, or the lower self, or the suffering self, or the lonely self, or the fearful self, or the guilty self. By the self, he was alluding to everything that is other than God. Like when he said, "O God, show me things as they are," indicating by things whatever is other than God. That is, make me know what is other than you, so that I may know what things really are, whether they are you or other than you, whether they are eternal and subsistent or newly happening and temporal. Then God showed him what is other than him as himself, without the existence of what is other than him. So he saw things as they are. That is, he saw them as the essence of God, who is exalted, without how or where. The word things applies to the self and to other things, because the existence of the self and the existence of other things are equal in terms of being things. When you know the things, you know yourself, and when you know yourself, you know the Lord. Because what you think is other than God is not other than God, but you do not know it. You see him, and you do not know that you see him. Everything passes away except his face, both inwardly and outwardly. This means that there is no existent thing or self but him. Nothing other than him has being. And therefore nothing has to pass away in order for his face to remain. There is nothing that exists that needs to pass away in order for his face to remain. There is nothing except his face. Do not think, therefore, that you need to pass away. This is talking to the separate self, the servant. Do not think that you, as a separate self or servant, need to pass away. Because if it were necessary for you to pass away or dissolve or disappear, that would mean that you are his veil. He would therefore be veiled by something other than himself. That would require something other than himself having power over him, which prevents him from being seen. That is an error and a misconception. As we have already said, his veil is nothing other than his oneness and his singularity. That is why the person who has reached the essential truth is allowed to say, "I am the truth," or "Glory to me." No one has truly reached him. They see that their self has never really been their own self. Not that it once was and has now passed away, but that it never existed in its own right to begin with. I'm elaborating a little. Because there is no self apart from his self, and there is no being except his being.
And next is Nome talking about self-knowledge.
Brahmana's existence. You are existence. You are Brahman. For this reason, self-realization is not an occurrence, but consists of self-knowledge. in which the self that is known and the self that knows are one and the same thing. An occurrence appears to happen for someone. In reality, Raman, there is no such individuality. For a supposed individual, there is an object to be perceived. That in which there is no individuality is realized in non-objective knowledge. Existence itself is undivided. Existence is without birth or death, creation or destruction, which all that is objective is subject to. To know your existence as it is important. For this alone does away with the ignorance that is the cause of suffering. Timeless and never existent is the existence of the self. Limitless and free of differences. Not located anywhere, yet existing everywhere. Such is truly yourself. The knowledge of the self is not thought, and consequently, it cannot be determined by memory or forgetfulness. The knowledge of the self if it be true and real, must necessarily be of the identical nature as the self that is known. So is yourself an occurrence? No, of course not. Search for that inwardly. That is, not something that occurs, for what appears disappears, and it is not real. Just as knowledge is not an occurrence, your being transcending all that occurs. Likewise, knowledge is not an activity. It is not an activity of the body or senses. It is not an activity of the mind or thought. That which exists beyond the conceptions of action and inaction, doing and non-doing, is the self truly, free of the ideas of this I do and that occurs to me. Who are you? The answer to that question is neither an object nor something that appears and disappears, that occurs. The knowledge of your existence is truly the knowledge of the infinite and the eternal. What is infinite can only be one. Likewise is it with what is eternal. For all that has form is unreal and transient. The eternal is formless, undifferentiated, and cannot be multiple. That one existence is Brahman. That is the truth regarding yourself, your very existence. Turn within and realize that which is ever real.
Now, let's take a few moments to meditate. Breathe in and out. Notice the breath. Take long, slow breaths. And just notice that you exist. You exist, and you know that you exist. You don't have to think about it or feel it with your senses. You just know. Now, inquire, investigate within yourself, within your actual experience right now. Is the knowledge that you exist dependent on your thoughts, your senses, or is it something deeper? Look for yourself. You exist, and you know that you exist. What exists? Who exists? Does existence come and go? Who am I? What is the nature of my existence? All right, let's close with a short chant. Om. Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. If this satsang was of interest to you, I have more for you, a free book site, a YouTube site, and my blog. The URLs will be on screen next. These satsangs will continue in the coming weeks with this series based on the Ramana Maharshi book, Who Am I? Thank you for letting me share this teaching with you.